So I wanted to do a little bit of work here to make it possible, kind of explain some of the work I've been doing on a little Bible visualization tool that I've been working on. If you go to keithlowry.com, as you can see here, get rid of that ad. If you can go to keithlowry.com right here and click over here on the menu, you can go to a site called BibleCrunch.com or BibleCrunch. It's actually a subset of keithlowry.com, and I wanted to describe a little bit about how to use this. BibleCrunch is a little experiment I've been doing to play around with the way data from the biblical text is visualized. And so in this particular case, when you first bring it up, it renders a word cloud and shows you a word cloud of all the a bunch of words, international words related to love, or actually different translations of the word love. I'm using some technology called Word Cloud 2 for this particular piece, and you can see if you want some more documentation on that, you can go to the Word Cloud documentation at this link at the top of the BibleCrunch page. If you want to actually see a word cloud of something that's in the biblical text, you'll see here in this query, I've actually put the word love, and so whereas this automatically comes up with all the translations of the word love in the world, if you want to see what's in the biblical text, you just run the query, and then it actually looks at all the verses that have the word love in it, compiles a vocabulary together, and then generates a word cloud of the top 200 words that appear in verses alongside the word love. And so if I want to do a different word, and by the way, it also loads this where you have all the words from Scripture where love occurs, and then the chapter and verse references are actually links to Bible Hub, and you can actually launch into Bible Hub and do, look at different versions and that kind of thing. If I want to only see what shows up in the New Testament, I can just say I'm going to do this bigger, New Testament, and hit enter, and now I've got a new list of words starting in Matthew because that's the New Testament, and you can see that love is center. That's kind of the largest, most frequently occurring instance when you query a word. That's typically the case, and so you can get a new word cloud. But the other thing that you can do here is you can actually see statistics associated with that word. So if I click on the statistics button, then I get actually a bar chart that shows me where those words, the word love occurs in the overall text of the New Testament, not just in verses containing love, but in the books themselves. So we can see that John and 1 John are the two single biggest books in the New Testament containing the word love. If I want to do that similar kind of measurement in the Old Testament, I just say Old Testament in my query and rerun my query, and you can see that Psalms by far is the biggest place that actually has references to the word love. Psalms partially has that because it's really large, but it also talks about love, just on its merits a lot more than other books in the Bible. If I want to see the entire Bible, I can take out the in filter and just search on love, and then I can see the entire text of Scripture and see, kind of how, say, 1 John compares to Psalms in terms of the number of occurrences of the word love. I can also search for two words, so I can search for love, let's say, in Jesus, and I can see all occurrences of words that have love or the word Jesus in them, and you can see kind of how that gets generated. I can also, if I'm looking at the stats, but if I go back to the word cloud, you can see kind of what's in those verses. Once again, when you're looking at the stats, what you're seeing is all occurrences of love or the word Jesus. So you have larger counts here, not because there's more references to love, but because there's a lot of references to Jesus in addition to love. Here, obviously in the Old Testament there weren't references to the name Jesus, and so the overall counts are smaller. given the nature of the query I just did. If I did something like, say, love and justice, then you'd get a different look at this, because there's just more words in the Old Testament than there are in the New, generally speaking. So let's see. If I want to see co-occurrences of the words, say, mercy and justice, I can see that, but then I can also generate a word cloud. You'll notice that this is a really tiny word cloud, because there aren't that many words in verses that contain those two words. And so this is a look at those words. If you want to see the words that actually are going to show up in your word cloud, you can click on this tab here and look at the word list. Something to know, though, is that these counts that you see here are not the actual word counts. They're a normalized representation of the word count. Some of the word counts can be really, really large, and you can end up with word clouds that are utterly dominated by a single word. And what I wanted to show in word clouds was sort of a relative proportion of those words. And so what I do is I normalize the counts so that the most prominent words will be the biggest words in the word cloud, but they won't completely overwhelm other words that may have far fewer occurrences, but still be interesting and important to look at. So let's see what else. You can click on Advanced to really make much use of these advanced tabs. This is more for my benefit, but if you're a techie kind of person, you can actually go in and play with these tabs, change the font that's being chosen. You can actually choose a maskable image so that you can alter the shape of the word cloud that's generated. You can set the dimensions of your word cloud, or you can actually do a configuration. You kind of have to be a JavaScripty sort of person to do that. But I'm actually going to eventually make this more bulletproof and make it such that anybody can do custom configurations. But for now, you're going to want to read the documentation on Word Cloud 2 at the top of the page here if you're going to tinker around with very many of these advanced options here. So let's see what else. You can, if you want to, type in a query. Let's just say we'll do Christ, and now we've got a new word cloud and a bunch of new references. All you have to do is hit enter, and the query will run, and the word cloud or the statistics graph will be updated. You can also click Run Query, or if you're tinkering around with some of these configuration options and you just want to re-render the word cloud without waiting on the query, you can just say Render Word Cloud and click on that, and it'll regenerate the cloud. And you can play around with different options here. For instance, if I wanted to change the background color to black, I think that's going to change it to black. Let's re-render the word cloud, and then you get a very different look to that. So that's what I mean when I say you can tinker with some of these things. You can go to a color picker. There's a lot of color pickers on the internet, and you can go to color pickers and pick your color and then copy and paste the value in here and take a look at the impact of different colors on all of this. So also the color attribute here, you can tinker around with these and change the text color as well as the background color. So anyway, those are more advanced options. I'd read the word cloud documentation here in order to understand what all these different knobs and switches actually do for you. Anyway, you can also do things like you can use the in operator like Christ, or let's just say something else. Let's just say love in the Old Testament, and you can filter your results to just include references in the Old Testament and only count those verses. But you can also do something like in Philippians and take a look at the uses of the word love and what words co-occur in verses just in a single book. If it's a book like 1 Kings or 2 Kings or something like that, you got to put it in quotes. So if I want to say love in 1 Kings, then I can do that, but I need to put one space Kings in quotes, or you won't get the results you want. So in other words, if there's a space in the book name, you have to put it in quotes. See if there's anything else that might be interesting. I'll kind of keep noodling on this and thinking about whether there's other things that might be useful for you to know. The N filter can be OT for Old Testament, NT for New Testament, or the book name itself. And once again, you only have to put quotes around the book if there's a space in the book name. I think that's it for now. I'm probably not going to be updating this for a little bit. I got to turn my attention to something else, but I'm going to periodically come back here and do some things. There's a bunch of stuff now that I've got the basic framework in place that I want to do with this, but for now it's useful enough to play around with. I've actually used it for some interesting things myself, particularly as it relates to finding co-occurring words in verses, which has been useful on a couple of things I've been working on. So hopefully some of you will get to play with this and, find it useful and interesting. It's just kind of a fun thing to play around with if you have interest in the biblical text.